ever since its announcement of Diablo 4, I have been absolutely excited about seeing more information about this game because, man, when we saw that initial trailer for Diablo 4 at BlizzCon, I gotta say, guys, that the first thing that came to my mind was that Blizzard has still got it when it comes to a graphical standpoint, when it comes to what looks like the mechanics and such of Diablo 4. They still got it. I mean, and there's no debate about it in my personal opinion. From seeing, everything that this game encompasses from a graphical standpoint, I'm incredibly excited. There are certainly things I'm concerned about. There's certainly things I'm more excited about than other things. But all in all, guys, this looks to be a great entry. As of right now, very early, a great entry in the Diablo franchise. And I'm just excited that we're getting another game in this franchise in the first place. Well, with that, I want to go ahead and talk about everything that we want in Diablo 4. And when I say we, guys, I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts and opinions here, which some of you may agree, some of you may disagree. But let me know in the comment section down below, what are the things you guys want to see in Diablo 4? So let's get into it. So, for me, guys, there's been talk that Diablo 4, for what it's worth, I mean, certainly there have been things that have been confirmed, but there's certainly things that are subject to change. And one of the big things for me, guys, was that there's going to be, this is a game that's going to be, have PvP interactions that are incorporated within the game. So what does that mean? Well, obviously, there's going to be multiplayer here in a major way, but it looks like multiplayer could be the main and only modes in this title. Now, I don't think that's going to kind of draw away from like a story and such. There's definitely going to be a story here, guys. There's going to be a number of different character classes and things of that nature. But what I want to happen is I love that there's going to be a number of multiplayer elements to Diablo 4, but I don't want it just to be multiplayer. I want to be able to play by myself if I want to play by myself. I want to, kind of go at things at my own pace. Play the story by myself, and then I can play with my friends, a second playthrough, have co-op modes, and then have those PvP elements to keep you coming back to the game over and over again. One concern I've had is that when I hear that it's pretty much just multiplayer modes, that tells me that that means that there might not be as much of a story, or if there is a story, it might not be quite as focused on as the multiplayer. And that also means to me is that maybe I'm not able to play the story by myself. I got to play with other people, whereas I like to go at things at my own pace. I don't necessarily want to always play with other people. We'll have to kind of wait and see on that, guys. But number one for me is definitely having modes outside of the multiplayer. I love multiplayer. I have preached, guys, on my channel. Having multiple ways to connect with the franchise is the best way. Having a full package where you're getting campaign, co-op, and multiplayer modes is the best way moving forward. For Diablo 4 is no different here. But having just multiplayer is definitely not what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that is certainly part of it, not all of it. That leads me to the next thing. There are going to be open world elements to Diablo 4. And so I just hope that there's a lot of things to do within the world of Diablo 4 from a perspective of that open world. I'm absolutely on board with open world with Diablo 4. I just want there to be a lot of things along the journey to do. Lots of side missions, collectibles, things to find, and things to do along the journey if we so choose. Throughout the journey that is Diablo 4. I think that's going to be really important moving into this title, guys. Having a lot of ways, like I said, to connect with the franchise and such. And like I said, it gets back to, being able to go at the game at your own pace, I think is going to be incredibly important. Now, obviously, guys, there's been 3 character classes, Barbarian, Sorceress, and Druid, were all going to, that were announced, and then there's 5 in total that are going to be available at launch. I'm hoping that they continue to expand upon that. I'm sure that they will. I'm just hoping another thing is that this doesn't become like a games as a service. This isn't one of those games that, I'm sure they're going to have, continued DLC, or they're going to continue adding things onto the experience. But what I'm really hoping for, guys, is if they decided to make it somewhat of a games as a service, that they made certain elements of Diablo 4 free to play. Whether we're talking multiplayer modes, whether we're talking, PvE elements where you're playing with your friends and such, I hope there are some free to play elements in Diablo 4 to really bring more and more people to the table with Diablo 4 to at least try the game out. I think that's a really great way of continuing to build the fan base that is of the Diablo, community. And so with that, guys, I'd like them to continue adding more and more character classes throughout the course of Diablo 4's, lifespan. I would, of course, like to see a really, exciting campaign, a really exciting, multiplayer experiences, exciting, co-op experiences. And like I said, I think it's going to be great to have continued progression as you're going throughout the course of the journey with Diablo 4. One of the big things as well for me, guys, is having earnable items over payable items. So from a multiplayer perspective, I always have felt that it's really good for communities and games in general to go ahead and add things that are earnable within the game, things that you can earn throughout the multiplayer, the course of the story, the course of the co-op, that, whether it's ranks, titles, emblems, whatever it might be, that you can show off to other people out there in the world when you're in the in-game lobbies and things of that nature. It gets other people to want to try to earn some of those things, especially with the Diablo universe. I think there's some super sick skins and armor and different types of titles and emblems and ranks and such that they could really come up with some great ideas for Diablo 4. And so what I'm getting at is having earnable items over payable items. If you have some free-to-play elements to the game, absolutely you can have microtransactions, but don't make those microtransactions, those payable items, better than the items that you can earn within the game, because it just brings people back to the game over and over again. If you can just simply just buy those same things and pay for them, it kind of ruins that experience. And so in my opinion, having, earnable items over payable items all day is really important. And what I'd also would like to do, lastly, or what I would like to have in Diablo 4, is I would really like Diablo 4 to set up the next generation of Diablo games for the future. Whether we're talking from a campaign perspective, leading us into, the next generation of the Diablo games, kind of setting things up into motion. I want to have, some new characters, new, of course I want to have new enemies, new locations that we're exploring around. Diablo has some very special elements to it, and I'm really excited to see what they decide to do, but I think there's definitely a way in which they should have similarities, but also those differences that kind of set this apart from the other games and kind of lead us into a new direction, because a lot of people didn't like Diablo 3, and so I'm hoping that this game kind of changes that, and really Blizzard focuses solely on Diablo 4 as a whole, and we, get a great game for the next number of years until we get, Diablo 5, and then moving forward from there. I'm just hoping that they don't go all in on this idea of a games as a service and just a multiplayer modes. We've seen what that's done to games like Titanfall and just games out there. Sure, having multiplayer as your forefront and your focal point is, I'm sure it's important to a lot of companies, and I think it should be. However, having other modes outside of that is going to be incredibly important as well. Unless it's completely free to play, which I'm doubting Diablo 4 is going to be 100% free to play, because then, yeah, if it was free to play and you're able to just play all the multiplayer sides of Diablo 4, man, that could be something really interesting, kind of like Apex Legends, similar to Fortnite, Call of Duty Warzone. It could be something really interesting. However, I really want there to be a campaign. I really want there to be other co-op modes and such outside of just the multiplayer. That's just my opinion, guys, and I'd love to hear yours in the comment section down below. Let me know, guys, what are the things that you want in Diablo 4? Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Diablo 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.